to the start for the under 23 men's 8. We have a full race here going straight across. Closest to us, we have Thompson Boat Club, lane 2, Riverside, lane 3, Mendota, lane 4, Mendota, lane 5, Westside in lane 6, Vesper, lane 7, and Dawn Rowing Club from Mississauga in lane 8. So we have one Canadian crew out on the far side, out of Mississauga. Really great to see Dawn Rowing Club representing in this.
Yeah, the Dawn Rowing Club has been in this situation a lot, it seems, so far, between yesterday's finals and today, where there tends to be a lot of American crews, and Dawn just slips in as the one Canadian club that I think has happened 2 or 3 times at least so far.
Their coach, of course, head coach Horatio, doing a fantastic job with that program, particularly some of the younger athletes, juniors and we call these senior B or under 23 athletes.
Yeah, I know 2 of the Dawn athletes are actually representing Canada this week at the Junior World Championships. They are the women's pair. We also have a women's quad that I believe progressed from the repechage today. We've got a men's coxed 4. We have a women's single who actually came home with a medal last year from the Junior Worlds. She raced the double last year. That's Grace Vandenbroek. She won here at Henley 2 years ago in the women's under 17 double. We have a men's single. Of course, Jack Walkie with great family roots tied to the sport.
So they are off in the start of the under 23 men's 8. There's nothing like the sound of a start when you've got all these 8s lined up right across. You hear your coxswains yelling. You've got the sound of the blades, and certainly, probably in this case, a little bit of splashing because it is quite choppy still up at the top.
I'm going to be honest, when I've been in that situation the last couple times at least, I just hear the horn and then I don't know how much else I hear other than, of course, your lovely voice, Allie.
I like to hope so. Exciting to see, of course, in the middle 2 lanes, lane 4, lane 5, that's Mendota. Their coach, Bo Hoopman, sorry. I'm sure very excited. This is a great development opportunity for those gentlemen.
Yeah, Mendota, obviously a mainstay every year in the men's senior programs, particularly the sweep side, always bring a huge contingent down, and they just always seem to fill up the finals and boat some really competitive crews.
For sure, Mendota out of Madison, Wisconsin. Presently, I think they've got 23 entries at this regatta.
That is impressive. And looking like they're doing pretty well so far here in the straight final of the men's under 23-8, at least 500 meters in. They do have their lane 4 crew out ahead, about half a boat up on their lane 5 crew, but not left behind is Riverside, who's just bow ball to bow ball, along with, I think it's Vesper on the far side. I wouldn't want to guess who's in second place right now between those 3 crews.
So one thing viewers at home might be interested in, you see some of these boats are being coxed by men and some are being coxed by women. Of course, at Henley, since this is not necessarily an international regatta, both men and women can you can be coxed by either gender. So you've got, in some cases, a young woman who's in charge of these big guys, and they have to listen.
Definitely have to listen, have to respond. That's the coxie's job. That's the athlete's job. That's the nature of the relationship. The coxies execute the race plan. The athletes need to respond. They cannot tune out the coxie. If they do that, they run the risk of just being completely out to lunch, particularly, especially in a big boat like an 8. You cannot have those 8 bodies doing completely different things. You need to move as one, act as one in unison to get that boat moving. And if you have everyone kind of doing their own thing, you're going to get left behind.
You can even see here this really great wide shot. You can see the oars going in and out of the water together. The crews that are being more effective of maintaining good timing, good sharp response at the catch, they're obviously they're working a little bit more efficiently than those who are maybe having a little bit of a tougher time with the wind and with the water conditions.
There's one passage written about, the unison of the 8 moving together in the book Boys in the Boat. Say that a couple times fast, where the author describes it, the 8 blades moving as one, as 8 people standing on the deck of an aircraft carrier trying to hit a golf ball each all the same way at the same time in the same direction. That I think is the best way I've heard described trying to get an 8 to move in terms of non-rowing terminology.
The under 23 men's 8, they're competing for the Wyandotte Trophy. The Wyandotte Boat Club was established in 1875. The club's very first Canadian Henley win was the 1927 Senior 8, and that may have been the spur for the J.B. Ford Company, a Wyandotte manufacturer, to donate a trophy in 1928.
Have you ever raced at Wyandotte, Ali?
I've never been to Wyandotte, actually, Brent.
Okay, it was actually, I think, my first. I don't know if you'd qualify it really as an international race, but it might have been the first time I went over a border to race. They have a high school regatta in the spring, about 4 hours away from here in St. Catharines. Floating start on a moving river with some challenging conditions, and I really mostly remember that and a lot of sunburns. Some really big mistakes when I was a teenager.
Really nice shot here of Mendota with the red blades and the red and white singlets coming through. We've got lane 4, it looks like, stroked by Dylan Adams, taking a little bit of open water here over the rest of the field, who are fighting it out for second place.
Yeah, still really too close to call between the other Mendota boat and the Riverside, but doing a really good job, Mendota lane 4, to separate themselves from that battle, not even letting themselves get bogged down as the rest of the fight becomes who's going to come second. Mendota in lane 4 doing a really excellent job to separate themselves from that scenario and just kind of cruise ahead of the rest of the pack.
And I know from looking at the schedules, looking at the race draw, Mendota doesn't come here to just race one event. Oftentimes they're in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different events. And these guys are here really just proving their mettle. They're very fit and they're very strong, and they're having an excellent Henley regatta so far.
So we'll just give a bit of a shout out here. All the names in this lane 4 crew that does look likely to win. Hold off the rest of the crew, I think, or rest of the crews, I think, as they charge into the red buoys. In lane 4 from Mendota, the Coxie, Kaz. I am honestly not going to attempt that last name. So my regards, Kaz the Coxie, doing a really good job controlling Dylan, Will, Adam, Kurt, Jacob, Kyle, Philip, and Tyler as they does look like they're going to hang on as they cruise to the finish line. Their compatriots in lane 5, also Mendota, really pushing hard, trying to claim that second place, but only gold here at Canadian Henley as Mendota lane 4 crossed the line.
A nice celebration there. I think it's a lot of fun to see these guys have a little bit of a celebration as a crew, but right away you can see them putting the brakes on just to make sure they don't run out of space.
Yeah, that can really be a problem. In the certainly the senior men's 8s, you can run out of real estate there really quick.
So in a time of 6:10.82 unofficially, lane 4 Mendota Rowing Club taking the trophy for the under 23 men's 8. Nice to see the wind conditions, particularly in that bottom